Good morning. Good morning, dear project partners, ambassadors, researchers, friends and supporters. My name is Sara Mikolic, and I'm an assistant researcher at the Department of Geography here at the Faculty of Arts in Ljubljana. It's my pleasure to welcome you at the second in-person Community of Practice event of FLIARA. FLIARA stands for Female-Led Innovations in Agriculture and Rural Areas. Our goal today is to foster meaningful discussions and collaborations that will drive our FLIARA forward. We have an exciting 2 days agenda lined up for you, featuring a diverse range of activities. I encourage you to engage actively and make the most of this opportunity to connect with fellow innovative rural women, policymakers, local action groups, and other, I believe, very engaged stakeholders across Europe. Thank you for being here, and let's get started. First, I would like to invite Dr. Barbara Lampic, a researcher and a coordinator of the Slovenian FLIARA team at the Faculty of Arts, to express her welcome as the local organizer.
Hello, good morning to everyone. Usually I'm so loud that... So, welcome to Faculty of Arts. Dobrodošli pri nas na Filozofski fakulteti Univerze v Ljubljani, kamor smo vas povabili v okviru dogodka, ki poteka pod okriljem projekta Horizon, projekta FLIARA, ki naslavlja temo potencijala inovativnosti žensk v kmetijstvu in na podeželju. Dogodek je mednaroden, tako da bomo govorili angleško, mislim pa, da to ne bo zagata za nobenega, a ne? So, here in the city center, actually, we have opened the door today to rural topic, to rural areas in general, to rural women, and to innovative practice in farming and innovation. Really warm welcome to all, especially to those who are visiting Slovenia for the first time. And I hope that you will experience at least a piece of our hospitality, and of course of our hospitality of rural Slovenia. Here at the faculty, actually, we mostly teach. But the purpose of our meeting today is not our teaching. Teachers today are innovative practices in farming and rural areas, our ambassadors, our innovative entrepreneurs who stepped out of the comfort of a beaten path and are seeking different and often also unconventional solutions. With this FLIARA project and community of practice in-person events, actually we travel between partner countries. And with this, during this trip, actually we grow from the community of practice to community of practice. We started our trip in early July in Ireland. Now we are here in Ljubljana, in Slovenia. In January, we are visiting southern Italy, and in May 2025, we are in Sweden. Actually, we are going to address different European rural contexts because, as you see, we are focused in 4 different European macro regions here. We are going to talk about the FLIARA project later on, but just I want to give you a short introduction to the program of this 2 days event. The program of today is threefold. The morning part is dedicated to the short introduction of the project and with certain emphasis on the Slovenian context. The plenary part will be actually followed by Ambassador Innovation Journey, when our moderator will take us, with the help of our 7 ambassadors of FLIARA project, she will take us through these experiences and their innovations. The third part in the afternoon is actually really crucial, essential for our project, because with your participation, you will actually contribute to the more credible results and solutions that emerge from your practices. Just to remind you, the event is going on in 2 floors, in 2 parts of this building. This major event is here in number 18, in room 18. Then we are going to have workshops in 3 different rooms, also in the 2nd floor, a department of geography, where you will also find a small Slovene FLIARA exhibition, and you can enjoy the afternoon coffee break, also this experience more in person. Just to remember you once more, later we will talk about this more, you are going to be asked to be actively involved in different parts of today's event. Tomorrow, we will spend a day in southwestern Slovenia. It's a field trip day. We will take a journey through different types of rural areas. From the rural area close to the city, when we are going to stop in Borovnica, where our ambassador Sasha is waiting for us, to the rural village in Kastelec, where Petra will present her volunteer practice. But at our stops, we will have the privilege to enter to the local environment in which our innovators actually live and work. And as geographer, of course, I'm really happy and proud that this is also going to be an opportunity to bring you this rural vibe closer to you. So this is maybe really crucial also from the, for this meeting. An important part of this community of practice event is dedicated to our project ambassadors. But today we are hosting really quite a huge number, 7 out of 20, but also interviewed women which were involved in our research here in Slovenia are with us or in person or through their products. And maybe I can mention here Katja, Sasha, Lenka, Petra, Marinka. I have to excuse Carmen, you are going to taste her sweets during the coffee break. She's on the way because she had a small problem with the car, so I have to excuse her here in this moment. But all this, with all this, their presence through this event, we want to bring the spirit of these really brave, innovative women to the whole 2 days event. And maybe just for the conclusion, I have to finish with our woman team here in Faculty of Arts. We are 6 researchers here. You know us more or less, and we are here for you today and tomorrow. Any question, any help, any wish, please ask. And this is the team actually which is largely responsible for the event here. But here we have to mention the support of whole FLIARA project team, but also the support from our technical office, from our secretary, from our designer, and so on. And my sincere and biggest thanks to all of you for this enormous amount of work and especially time you have put in. But to officially start the kickoff of this event, I would like to invite our responsible leader, our coordinator of FLIARA project, our Maura Farrell from University of Galway, just to welcome us and to encourage our work and our start. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks to Barbara. I'm going to talk a little bit about her in a second. I'm not going to talk too much because I've got a presentation shortly about the FLIARA project. But I just want to officially welcome first all of you for taking the time to come. I want to welcome all of our partners. And just to say, I suppose, that it is such an exciting event and it is such a fantastic opportunity for us to come together, but to come together here in Ljubljana. And I think none of that would have been possible without the fantastic team that are here. Barbara and all of the team, Sarah and all of the team that are here have done an unbelievable amount of work. It's just so exciting. You walk into the building here, you see the FLIARA signs, you see the pictures, you see the FLIARA ambassador women, you see the women that Barbara and the team interviewed, and you think this is what it's all about. It's all about those women. It's all about bringing those women to the fore, being a voice for those women. And I think definitely Ljubljana University have absolutely done that in spades today and tomorrow and over the last few days. So I think they really deserve a huge round of applause. Nothing has been left to chance. To all of you who have come, I suppose, and I will talk about the FLIARA project in detail in a few moments, but to all of you who have come, who have taken the time today and tomorrow to be with us, to the ambassadors, we have 7 ambassadors, Romania, Italy, the Czech Republic, and Slovenia. And those are 7 of 20 unbelievable special women who we have selected to be the forefront of the FLIARA project. They're very special to us and they're very special to the project, and they really represent exactly what we're trying to do in the FLIARA project. And I'll tell you a lot more about that in a few moments. But for now, I want to thank you all, I want to welcome you all and hopefully officially open the event. And again, thank Barbara and our team for having us here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maura. Don't worry, Maura will be back on stage very soon to share more about the FLIARA project. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Irena Samide, the Associate Dean of the Faculty of Arts at University of Ljubljana, who will now deliver a welcome address on behalf of our host institution, the Faculty of Arts, where we are gathered today.
It's hard to say some words after such a greeting from the project manager, coordinator, Maura Farrell. But still, dear organizers, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and dear friends, in today's world, we often talk about artificial intelligence, digital technologies, and the next big technological revolution. And it's exciting, no doubt. But in all this buzz, we sometimes forget about the very foundation that sustains us, the land we live on, the food we eat, and most importantly, the people who make it all possible. This is why the topic of your project, female-led innovation in agriculture and rural areas, is far more relevant than we might realize at first glance. As Vice Dean of the Faculty of Arts at the University of Ljubljana, also responsible for international collaboration, I'm really honored to welcome you to this international event, which forms part of the Horizon Europe project, a testament to the power of cross-border cooperation. At our faculty, we deeply value the importance of international collaboration, as it allows us to connect with diverse ideas, expertise, and practices from across the globe, enriching our research and, of course, also our teaching. Our faculty, the largest at the university, is also very proud to embrace an interdisciplinary approach that brings together a vast range of academic disciplines. You gathered here today, combining geography, psychology, and sociology, are the best example for this. Your project exemplifies this spirit of collaboration, not only by bringing together experts from various fields, but also by emphasizing practical training and hands-on experience. In fact, I'm really delighted that part of this conference includes a day in the field where participants will visit rural areas and witness firsthand the innovative practices that are shaping the future of agriculture. Too often, the crucial role of women in these sectors is underestimated. And that's why I'm also really delighted that this conference, actually your project in general, seeks to shine a light especially on the contributions of women and providing such a platform for meaningful exchange of ideas and experiences. So I really encourage you to take full advantage of this opportunity to share your insights, build new partnerships, and above all, to be bold in your innovations. The future of our entire society depends on the creativity and resilience we cultivate today. Thanks once more to all the organizers, and thank you to all of you who came to Ljubljana. I wish you a successful and really inspiring conference.
Thank you, Vice Dean, for stepping in on such a short notice while our Dean is in another room. It's a lot going on in our faculty at the moment. Now I will move forward, and I would like to invite Dr. Mora back on the stage to provide us with an overview of the FLIARA project, an update about some critical issues related to gender innovation and rural sustainability across Europe. Please, Mora.
I hope you can hear me. Yes. Okay. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the FLIARA project in general and just give you, I suppose, a sense of the project all of us as partners have been working on, and hopefully all of you who are ambassadors who are engaged in, and people who have just come here to hear about the project, and I suppose how you can instill the ethos of the project within your own regions and your own countries. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the why, the how, and the what. And I suppose in many respects, why FLIARA is here at all. Why do we need a female-led innovative project? Why did we need the Commission to fund this project for us? And how we're tackling the key ideas that we have around that project, the key issues that we have around that project, how we're tackling that. And I'm also going to discuss a little bit with you what we've achieved to date. And later in the afternoon, you're going to hear from some of the partners who will tell you a little bit more about what we've achieved in the specific work packages. Any of us who are engaged not just in research around women-led innovation, but in research in agriculture, research in rural development, rural sustainability, will know that we have many challenges. We have many challenges in rural areas. We have challenges around the viability of our farmers. How viable are those farms? We have challenges around succession. Who is going to take over that farm? Is it always the eldest son? Is it always one of the sons? Have we gotten to a stage where maybe one of those women is ready to take over that farm? Biodiversity and climate change and climate action are two key aspects of our time that really have become a huge part of our lives in rural areas. The issues that we've created and the issues that we're now trying to solve. When you think about the rural areas, you think automatically about the services, the infrastructure, not what you have, but what we don't have generally is what we talk about. And I suppose in many respects our towns and in our villages, and how those towns and villages are declining in population, but how other towns and villages are possibly overrun by tourists, particularly towns and villages that really people want to visit, and that visitor experience can impact hugely on the people who live in those areas. Social and cultural issues right across the world, and I spoke to a lovely journalist here this morning, she's here in front of us, from Slovenia, and she was telling me that she was in Ireland 20 years ago on a leader event. And in many respects, to come to Ireland now, 20 years later, you'll see a very, very different Ireland. And you'll see a very, very different Europe right across many towns and villages. However, we still have many cultural and social issues within all of those towns and villages. And I suppose it's on the back of all of that kind of rural thinking that in many respects we have this idea that we need change. We need to improve these things. We need to improve things for women. We need to improve things for rural areas, for farming, for agriculture. But we cannot do that in an individualistic type of way. We have to make sure that this is a shared response to a shared responsibility. We can only tackle these issues if everybody is able to come together to do it. And it's in the everybody we start to think about women, and we start to think about women in rural areas. And we start to think about historically how those women in many respects have been very much overshadowed and have very much been surpassed in the work that they have done. So the gender-based discrimination is very, very deep-rooted in many, many rural areas right across Europe. And the bias that we see in farming and in rural entrepreneurship very much persists. And it persists in the sense that we very much constantly think about the men who work in the land, the men who work on farms, the male entrepreneurs that we see in front of us. And that deep-rooted inequality that we have around women is still very much in existence. There's also limited access to resources. Women have very limited access to credit, to land, to finance, if they want to engage in innovation. Care work, not just for children, not just for young children, babies, any of that, also for elderly care, is often left at the hands of women. Women very much disproportionately care and are faced with that unpaid care work that we see in many, many homes. Extension advisory services are those individuals, those services that assist the farming community in any of the technical, any of the technology, and any of the farming issues that they need. Many women do not have enough access to extension advisory services. Again, when you look at the wider world that women are involved in rural areas, you start to see that those poor rural services and facilities really can impact women. And today and tomorrow, we'll look and see the 7 ambassadors that we are here. And any of these women who have produced a product, that idea of an access to market, that idea of the opportunity that they need, is that in some way hampered because they are women? Policies and institutional barriers are something that women also face. And increasingly, thanks to, I suppose, initiatives like our project being funded by the EU Commission, and I suppose that idea within the CAP strategic plan, that all countries should really look at the gender aspect of farming and rural innovation. So I suppose the policy directives are increasingly happening, but are they being realised? Are each country realising and trying to put forward women in each of these areas? Women who want to become entrepreneurs, who want to take action in relation to an innovation, have they the skills and have they the training to do that? Are the skills and the training available to them? Is the mentoring available to them? Limited decision making is also a historical challenge faced by women. And I suppose for many, many years, our policy environment, our governance environment, our legal environment has been very much dominated by men. And in order to get a balanced attitude, a balanced ethos, a balanced way of thinking, we need to make sure that there are as many women as men within that circle. These are kind of challenges that we looked at when we started to think about the FLIARA project. And the FLIARA project is a research and action and innovation action project funded by the European Commission. And we're about halfway through the project at this stage, and we have a huge amount of work done. And the huge amount of work has been achieved by the 15 partners across 10 countries right across Europe. And we're hugely fortunate, I think, to have the partners that we have in the project. Partners who are not just engaged in this project because it's a Horizon project, because there's funding attached to it, but partners who really believe in the ethos around women-led innovation. And I suppose the FLIARA project is very much transdisciplinary, as in we have engaged partners that have expertise in the area of geography, the area of sociology, the area of economics. We have partners who are practitioners on the ground. And all of those partners have come together really to implement a methodology that is there to improve, to understand, to create awareness and recognition of the role that the women do play at the moment in rural areas and on farms. And I suppose our idea in this project was to combine a future study that you're going to hear later on today about, and as well as that, the case study project that we were all involved in as well. And the ambassadors and the interviewees that were carried out here as well. The lovely posters that we seen as we came in the door are those interviewees that were interviewed by Barbara and her team here in Slovenia. And we also, as part of our FLIARA project, put a huge amount of emphasis on the networking, just like we're doing here today and tomorrow. We've also carried out work in benchmarking, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that later on today as well. And I suppose all of that work has been underpinned by a conceptual framework and an assessment framework that we've also worked on and carried out. And all of this is wrapped up in a project overview that has a series of work packages. So we have carried out the conceptual framework, the assessment framework, the foresight and trend analysis, the case study analysis. This is our community of practice. This is what we're engaged in here today and tomorrow and with our ambassadors. Today, specifically, we will focus quite strongly on that idea of policy design and assessment. And I suppose by the time we finished in the afternoon today and you've engaged in the workshops that we are asking you to take part in, you will also become part of that policy design. You will have your hand in that policy design that we can take forward at a national level, but also as a European Commission level. And within that European Commission level, we will speak. Next week, we are in the Commission in Brussels on Tuesday, and we're speaking directly with DG Agri and the Commission. So it's your voice we're trying to bring there to make sure that we do try and improve things most definitely for the women in rural areas and in farming. What have we done so far? In Work Package 1, and I'll explain this a little bit further, we've carried out a series of research looking at what has been carried out already, trying to bring forward a conceptual framework, trying to bring all of this work together, I suppose this knowledge review and some key concepts. In addition to that, we also looked at what projects have been done already, what projects within Europe have looked at innovative practices of women in rural areas and in agriculture. We analysed those projects and we started to see, let's not reinvent the wheel here. Let's look at these projects and see what we can learn from them, what we can take from them. Our foresight and trend analysis, and Belita is here from Finland and she's going to talk to you a little bit more about this later on today. But this part of our work, of our FLIARA project, looked very much at foresight and trend analysis. And the idea was that we would envision in some way a process that would, I suppose, look at the sustainability visions. And in looking at the sustainability visions, that we then wanted to see, well, what are the innovations around those sustainability visions? And once we had that done, our idea here was then, where do the women fit in? Where do the women fit into the sustainability visions that are there? Where do the women fit into the sustainability innovations? And that's the work at the moment that we're analysing. And in relation to that work, I suppose what we did find is we brought together 333 measures that can increase women's contributions to sustainability innovations. And when you start to break these down, they can be all quite simplified. You know, an organisation of platforms for co-creation and cooperation, exactly what we're doing over these 2 days, is something that we felt that the results showed us is needed by women, I suppose, to contribute to their sustainability innovations. And again, Belita will talk a little bit more about this later on today. Our case study work was a real central part of the FLIARA project, and being led by our Italian partners and being led by our Swedish partners. All of our partners were involved in this, and really it was a huge undertaking. We carried out 20 case studies of female-led innovations in farming and in rural areas. So we had 10 women-led innovations on farms and 10 in rural areas. And out of all of these, 10 interviews per case study was carried out. So we spoke to 200 women right across Europe who gave us a really good idea about the lessons that they have learned already, the challenges that they have faced, and what lessons can we have learned from this. Out of this, we've created 200 fact sheets. And please, I urge you to go on our FLIARA website and look at the way in which our Constanta Europa and Victor and his team have created a visual, I suppose, technology in and around these fact sheets. So all of these fact sheets can be searched via our website. You can search whether you want to look for an economic project in Finland or a social project in Ireland or a cultural project in Slovenia. You can check and look at all of those projects and see what was created and what was achieved. At the moment, we're working on a comparative report within 4 different regions right across Europe. And again, I think Sylvia and Annie might talk about that later on. Our community of practice is where we're at now, where we are today. All of you are engaged and involved in our community of practice. And we started in Ireland, as Barbara already said, we're now in Slovenia. We're going to go to Italy and we're going to go to Sweden later, earlier next year. These community of practices are very much about focusing in on the innovation ambassadors, spotlighting their work, spotlighting their achievements. We're also going to look at, I suppose, that toolkit that we're trying to create over these few months and bring forward, that a toolkit that can help women, can researchers, policymakers, I suppose, to train and to guide other women in similar circumstances. And our community of practice is not just here over this few days. It's also very much an online hub as well. So we've brought together the 20 ambassadors already. We've met them online. We've kind of pulled them together. And we're hoping over the next year and a half that we will network these women online alongside many other people who want to get involved as well. We're hoping we will have training ideas for them, we'll have networking ideas for them, and we will do all of this via a dedicated LinkedIn space that all of the women are involved in. And again, we have 7 of these women in front of us today. Thank you very, very much for being part of this. But these are our 20 ambassadors. And we really felt that on this project, the best way to engage and to consider and to think about women-led innovation was get the women to tell you themselves. And that's exactly what we are trying to do now. We're trying to spotlight these 20 ambassadors. But these 20 ambassadors are representative of the 200 women we interviewed. Those 200 women are representative of thousands of women across Europe who are desperately trying to engage within farming and in rural entrepreneurship. So I suppose it's quite a weight on all of our shoulders to make sure we represent all of those women. And in spotlighting those women, again, we have a wonderful partner in Constanta Europa, and they have persistently looked at how we can engage on social media, how we can engage via our website, how we can make sure we get our message across. And I suppose if Victor is telling us anything today, he's telling us every time he shares something on social media, please do so as well. Share it around as much as you possibly can. And we have already, as you can see from here, we've already reached a huge audience. And I think in reaching that huge audience, it's one of the reasons we have been invited to the Commission next Tuesday. It has been the reason why the Commission are sitting up and looking at us and listening to us. So it's amazing how you think we cannot change anything. Yes, you can. Your voice can change an awful lot. We are doing the work in the background. But the more that this comes in the face of policymakers, the more we can change things. And it's in change that we start to look at policy design and assessment. And it becomes hugely important that we change policy. I suppose in many respects, we become quite idealistic in our thinking. And we start to think we can change things by hopefully a good example. Or we can change things by putting things out on Twitter or X or social media. But in many respects, the biggest change can only come about if we infiltrate policy. And when we infiltrate policy, this is where we get the biggest change. And yes, we're starting quite at the top. We're right at the Commission. We are in their face, if that's what we want to call it. But in doing that, we lead example for you guys to do that in your countries. For you guys to do that at your local government level, at your local parish level, at your local community level. Change can happen as well. So we're hoping to create a policy booklet, policy briefs, policy scenario development report, all of which you will be involved in today. Gender benchmarking, which you will also be involved in the afternoon today as well. And a gender benchmarking report, which we already carried out. So I suppose in doing all of this policy benchmarking work, we've already seen that looking at what's there already, we've seen that there's still a huge amount of work to do. That current evidence would suggest to us that there is huge potential around women who can contribute to rural areas. And in many respects, it has also shown us that that contribution from women is very much underestimated and untapped at the moment. So our assessment would also indicate that there's a clear and targeted focus on supports for women-led innovation, and we can see very much at the moment that this is really needed and required. What we have seen in FLIARA to date is that women have the capacity to play a huge role in tackling farm and rural issues, and also gender equality. FLIARA is spotlighting those women. FLIARA is making sure that we give those women a voice. Our foresight and analysis work has also showed the possibilities, not just now, but into the future for these women. FLIARA case studies have highlighted the wonderful work that has been done, and we're going to see a huge amount of that tomorrow. And I'm just so excited to get out in the field and see these women tomorrow. We'll see some of our 7 ambassadors here today, and again, we'll highlight and spotlight those work. So I suppose supporting women, empowering women on farms and empowering women in rural areas is exactly what FLIARA is all about. Our pathway to innovative success is very much identifying the opportunities for women, developing those skills, networking, giving access to resources, overcoming the challenges that we have, making sure that women, if they want to scale up their projects, they can do so as well. Finally, we started this in Galway, and needless to say, very quickly, Barbara is very quick to cop on to anything, and she has very quickly taken the torch in and around creating a booklet for the women innovators here in Slovenia. And they've created a wonderful booklet, both in their own language and in English, which was an amazing feat. We only did ours in Ireland in English. So apologies in the sense we didn't come out with the Irish language. So they have done a fantastic job here in creating that booklet. Get the booklet out physically as much as you can, but also online as well. And I suppose, spotlight the ambassadors that you have here in Slovenia who are doing unbelievably fantastic work. So for now, I want to thank you. I think I'm back again later on to give you a little bit of information about the Work Package 1. But for now, that was just, I suppose, a whistle-stop tour of the FLIARA project. So thank you for now, and I'll hand you back to...
Thank you, Maura. We really appreciate your dedication and leadership in this project and to this topic. Before we dive further into today's presentations, topic-related presentations, let's take a moment. I would like to invite our FLIARA colleague, Eva. She prepared something for us.
I prepared only 3 questions. I think there are still a lot of gaps in our research, but we still have a year and a half. So we put 3 open-ended questions for you that are there, opening the doors on your left. There are 2 boards and the post-it papers. And please be so kind during the breaks, come, approach these questions and write down whatever you want. If you have any ideas, think out of the box. We did a lot, but I think we can do more, but with your help. So any ideas are welcome. If you don't like to write in English, you can write down in Slovene language or in Italian language or whatever. So every answer will count, and I hope we will summarize it and we will send the feedback back to all the leaders from the researchers group. Thank you in advance.
Thank you, Eva. I really encourage you to engage into these activities and leave some comments during the day. Next, we have the pleasure to invite Dr. Milica Antić-Gaber from Department of Sociology from this faculty. Her expertise in gender studies will provide us with important insights into the complexities of gender equality. Please join me in giving her a warm welcome to the stage.
First of all, I would like to thank to the organizers that invited me to talk about the issue which I research for quite a while, but not in the area you are doing your research. I was asked to talk about gender equality, but your coordinator of the project already said a lot about the gender equality in rural area. What I can add is from my perspective of sociologist who was researching and working in the field of politics and in the field of academia on gender equality. That the gender equality is not achieved yet, your conference is one of the proofs that we are still not there. So what to say about gender equality? That is a lot of misunderstandings about gender equality. First one is that gender equality is not an issue anymore. And this is of course not true, and your conference proved that it's not, we are not already there. Gender equality, they often say that gender equality is a women's issue, but of course it's not. It's not only a women's issue, it's a social issue that affects everyone, everybody. Gender equality does not discriminate men. Many people think that now men are discriminated, but of course they are not. In fact, many groups of men benefit from gender equality, and society as a whole benefits and it's more equitable as a result. Gender equality is not about individual women or men. Actually, it is about women and men as social categories, acknowledging systemic inequalities between them. Gender equality is not about biology or nature. It's an issue rooted in social structures, cultural norms, and institutional practices. Gender equality, of course, does not mean sameness. Women and men differ in many ways, just as there are differences within groups of women and within groups of men. The goal is to recognize both differences and commonalities while promoting fairness. Gender equality does not mean treating everyone without acknowledging differences. It rather seeks to address historically produced systemic disadvantages faced by certain gender and primarily women. There is no single cause for gender inequality, but rather a combination of factors that have contributed to the current situation. And this approach clarifies what the gender equality is not and highlights in a broader social context. What we are talking about when we talk about gender equality? Gender equality addresses inequality. In most cases, they affect women, but men face same or similar inequalities. It addresses them. We have to address them too. Therefore, discussing gender equality involves both women and men, and striving for it means that men experiencing inequalities will also benefit. Gender roles are mainly shaped by society, not by nature, and as such they can be reshaped. One is not born, but rather becomes a woman, as Simone de Beauvoir said decades ago. And this can be applied to both women and men. We thus address the social construction of gender and gender inequality. Not all women are subordinated position, and some of them are privileged. We have to acknowledge this as well. This is why an intersectional perspective is crucial to understand the various factors that contribute to inequality and to try to identify the obstacles that need to be removed to achieve actual equality. We must focus not only on equality, but also on equity. This means considering different needs and circumstances to ensure fair outcomes for all human beings. Achieving gender equality requires recognizing the need for social, systemic, and structural changes. This demands the implementation of various policies, measures, and actions aiming for necessary transformation. The above mentioned emphasizes that broader and nuanced understanding is required when addressing gender equality. Gender equality is about creating a fair and just society in which individuals, regardless of their gender, have the same opportunities and are free from discrimination. But what we also have to acknowledge when we are talking about position of women in society is that women are not a homogeneous group. Differences are, and sometimes are, big. Women's position in society and in the field of in your research and in your project, it's not the same. There are many differences. Women differ along the lines of age, class, including wealth and economic means, which are already mentioned, education, means school and professional attainment, marital status. Women are with or without children, living in urban or rural areas, and of course many more. When I talked to one of the organizers to prepare for my presentation, she said to me something like this. I hope I was not wrong quoting her. When we talk about gender equality and women's position in society, I don't like the approach in which we only cry and complain. I totally agree with her. Nobody likes individuals who only complain. And your project proves the contrary. You would like to find the solutions in innovation and different practices. Nevertheless, from the position of a woman who is now in the privileged position, which I am, but was not during all of my life, I have a responsibility, not to say a duty, as a professor and researcher in this field, and as a political being or active citizens, to address also the questions of the ones who are not in the privileged position, who are unprivileged, and often do not have enough power, or not at all, to shed light to their position, while they are not socially visible and have no voice in public. That is why it's so important to apply some of the gender equality knowledge on the position of women in the areas far from the focus of wider society. In the different field, different personal characteristics are important and advantage or disadvantage their position. And I'm sure that you are already tackling very many of them. There are women, for example, who are not treated equal, as it was already mentioned, women who perform most of the work done in the farms or little businesses, but not own them, due to persisting patriarchy and cultural norms that discriminate women. Women who work hard for their whole lives, but are not allowed to make any important decisions. And I can say much more, but I'm sure that you are addressing these inequalities in your project as well. Where we are now. Gender Equality Index for Europe for 2023 showed that gender equality persists and that progress remains slow, particularly in certain areas. While some improvements are visible in fields such as work, money, and health, other areas such as time, knowledge, and power are lagging significantly behind. What can we learn from this? A range of gender stereotypes continues to hinder progress. Perception of proper profession for women, for example, farming may be included here, is one of the reasons. Persistent stereotypes influence the career paths that girls and women pursue, often limiting their choices of schools and programs, including the areas which your project covers. Gender roles in private life, expectations concerning responsibility of household, it was already said, duties, child rearing, caring for elderly or needy, or still having heavily gendered with, are still heavily gendered with women taking on the majority of these roles. Invisible labor. Increasing discussions focus on the invisible work women perform in private life, such as mental load and organizing family life and managing household responsibilities. What is mental load? Mental load is essentially emotional labor. It usually falls to women, spending much more time than men in planning, organizing day-to-day minutiae of busy lives, for example, remembering that you need to pay a bill, buy more toilet paper, get a birthday present for your niece, take your cat to the vet, etc., etc. This is the workload on the top of paid work, family, social life, cleaning the house, etc. It builds up, and it can be completely overwhelming. It isn't that your partner is incapable of helping or doing things, or doesn't want to help. It's that they look to you to just ask. You didn't say, you didn't ask, or you didn't tell him. If you need something to be done, they see us women as project manager of the household, ready to delegate or orderly list of tasks. Decision-making power. Both in the private and public sphere, important decisions often remain in male hands, highlighting the need to greater gender balance in political and leadership roles, which I think is a very important issue for the women in rural areas as well. So advantages and disadvantages of being women in farming and rural areas are, of course, present. What are the advantages and disadvantages of being woman and succeeding in farming or rural environments? While I'm not an expert in your field, I have extensively, as I've already said, researched women in politics and in academia, and I have noticed many parallels in the challenges women face and the opportunities to achieve gender equality across these sectors. Here are some key areas where insights from other fields can be applied wider than only to academia and politics, probably also in yours. I think that systemic and structural changes are very much important. Addressing deeply ingrained societal norms and institutional barriers is crucial to creating a more equitable environment for women. Building connections, support, and solidarity, forming networks within a field and extending them across borders can help women gain influence and access to resources, and your conference proves this. Exchange of good practices and learning from mistakes as well. Sharing knowledge and experience, both successes and failures across sectors, can help women innovate and adapt in core business, but also in everyday life. Also, women don't need to be perfect in all spheres of life. This I found researching women in politics. They want to be perfect in politics, in professional life, in private life, but it's not possible, of course. Mentoring, supporting less experienced women is very important. Mentorship, especially for younger women or those who have less experience, is essential for fostering future female leaders also in rural areas. Boldness, creativity, and education, already mentioned today. Women can succeed by leveraging boldness, creativity, and education to take an innovative project in specific sectors. Sensitivity to human relationships and well-being. Women, often due to the socialization rather than nature, tends to be more attuned to relationships and caregiving. This sensitivity could be advantageous in promoting health and quality of life and sustainability, issues that will only grow in importance in the future, also especially in your field of work. Increased public presence in media visibility was already mentioned today. Women can benefit from greater public attention allotted to the different sectors, food, nature, health, life, etc. By showcasing their contribution, their work can be given the recognition it deserves. Shifting the meaning and weight of activities. It is essential to reframe traditionally undervalued tasks such as caring and sustainability efforts to reflect their increasing importance in today's world. Promoting green initiatives. The Green Tensions offers a critical opportunity for women to lead, though more practical work is needed to implement principles into action. Bridging generations and gender gaps. Fostering collaboration between younger and older generation, as well as between men and women, can lead to stronger, more resilient communities in this. And for the end, cooperation with men. I would be very happy to see more men here in this community of practice to help us to make a crucial step forward. Gender equality is not just about empowering women, it's also about creating partnerships that benefit all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your insights will certainly guide us during our reflections during the day. Thank you. Yes, and now I'm inviting a male presenter because a well-functioning and resilient and enabling environment is crucial for women in rural areas. And we are very pleased that in FLIARA we have the support of agricultural institutions such as the Chamber of Agriculture and Forestry of Slovenia. I would like to invite Mr. Anton Jagodic, an agricultural advisor to share some insights on integration and cooperation in Slovenian rural areas. Please.
Thank you. Thank you to invite me. I am very happy to talk now in this project because I was a member of subgroup of innovation, and many times we talk a lot of technical issues in agriculture, and sometimes we talk also about empowering the young farmers and empowering the women in agriculture areas. So I'm really glad to see what kind of results and how many projects now are going on in this type of project. So a little word about who I am and who I'm representing today. I come from the Chamber of Agriculture and Forestry in Slovenia. I will not talk a lot about this organization, maybe a little bit inside. 100,010 members are in Slovenia in this chamber, and we are the main partner for our agriculture ministry to create a policy to share the knowledge on the countryside, to promote the agriculture, the good food in Slovenia, and this kind of topics. We are established very on democratic way. So every 4 years, the new organization is selected in many organs, and I just do the little check for today's presentation. It's not a lot of women who are part of the bodies of the chamber. So maybe, for example, this one, 54 members of the council, only 2 women are present there. So, and also, if you look a lot of this body around, it's the same situation. But in Slovenia, we have a women association on the national level, and we have a lot of association on the ground level. I will show you figures maybe later. And also we have youth, that means young farmer organization who is leading mostly by the women's. And also we have a union of the farmers who are also more or less the main part who are running this organization. I work in the Public Agriculture Advisory Service, which was mentioned a little before. And we are part of Slovenia Agriculture and Knowledge and Innovation System in Slovenia. So we are the part who are mainly in touch with the farmers and also with other members of this AKIS. We are, in our organization, we work in 9 legal entities under Chamber of Agriculture. We are public paid, 80% our money is public paid, and we have 330 advisors. And inside these advisors, we have 42 advisors who are specially, their job is to dealing with family, that's mean advisors who work with families, who works with activities with touristic farms, who work with supplementary activities on the farm, and those advisors are daily in contact also with not only the owner, the owner of the farms, but also the other family members of the farm. Otherwise, we are old organization, and each of our advisors have contact with farmers, and also farmers knows us, and also our advisors know the members of the family. Our task, I will not go deeply in this task, but beside technological part of the advising, investing, economic, environmental, and other issues, we have also issues dealing with organization, associations on the ground. So our organization was the main organization who pushed the association before 40 years ago when Slovenia became very in line to be independent state. It was a need to create a lot of NGOs on the ground, so we create a lot of association, and one of these part of association was the women organization, women association, and at that time dealing mostly about the programs, the things, you know, some shows, some events, lectures for the women, not so many involved with innovation on the farm. But today, I will show a little later, so I collect these figures. We are in contact with 147 women farmer association. In that association, we have 11,000 members of women who are part of this. And today we work with this association, support the association itself, pick the problems on the ground and bringing to the chamber part, and also bring the problems on the ground to the part who dealing with the legislation. So we collect all problems we have there. And a few years ago, we noticed that is a lot of need to establish a specific advising on the psychosocial issues. And we establish advising, runs now 2 years. And we have a lot of data now about the problems which are on the farms who were being in shadow before. So we did not recognize all the problems they have women on the farms because, you know, there is ongoing process, take farm over, so young family, older family, relationship between members of the families, how to become independent, and also how to involve new ideas on the farms. It's not so easy that we think for the faraway view. So now we do the research a little bit deeper, and this service was possible by the public call, and the service will be also in the next period possible. But it was already said the lot of roles of the woman. I will not do it again. Because of the time, I respect the time, it's important also to say that our advisory service which work in all regions in Slovenia, we do advising in the whole part of what farmers need. It also now part of the Slovenian Innovation Support Service. The main role, our role is written there, so we collect the problems which need to be addressed, and we are involved in finding the partners, and then when projects start, we helping the run the projects, and after that we are also through our advisory service responsible for dissemination of the project results. And that's mean in all levels. So when your project will be finished, we will also disseminate your project information about finding, because it's not important that we are part of the project. It's important the knowledge you achieved in this project and need to be addressed in the future, also in the Slovenian ground. So we are working like that. We collect all interesting, all need. We need everything we need, and we will definitely also inform, and not only inform, show the findings and everything. And you will see the beautiful examples in these 2 days. I saw this on the table. Many of them maybe not today, but in the beginning of this forum was establish the ideas, develop, helping with legislation issue, helping with how to market, helping everything was knowledge from, it's free in Slovenia from our advisory service, so every farmer can achieve this knowledge if not to pay anything. So this is very important to her. It's not the same situation in all European countries. So thank you for attention.
Thank you. We really appreciate your contribution. Building on that, we will now turn our attention to rural development. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Irma Potočnik-Slavić, a consortium member from the University of Ljubljana. She will share her insights on the potential of LEADER CLLD in Slovenia, focusing on the role of women in rural development. Please, Irma.
Dobar dan, hvala. It's nice to see familiar and unfamiliar faces. But what I would really like to focus in my presentation is the delivery of LEADER CLD in Slovenia and how this delivery tackled the issues of rural women, entrepreneurial rural women, and innovative rural women, and what we can learn out of it. So, Slovenia, based on different criteria, is a very rural country. Observing this map, it shows that the vast majority of the settlements can be defined as rural. And this fact is very important because the whole Slovenian territory actually conducts just one rural development program. And 212 Slovenian municipalities are involved in the implementation of LEADER CLD, and the whole national territory is covered by this program. And this is not a result of spontaneous development, but of systematic work of all levels in the period before and after the launch of LEADER approach. Based on the foundations that Mr. Jagodic presented a few minutes ago, I will try to develop my message with LEADER CLD experience. Slovenian Rural Women Association is a visible, like on this map, and well-networked rural institution. According to their vision, they are a relevant partner. We've seen 12,000 persons in LEADER CLD projects. And in the period 2014-2020, they managed to cooperate with several organizations, worked on food issues and knowledge exchange. And here are some projects where indicated were women visible. And this list was provided by our local action group lead partners who were with us today. And we see how important the role of Rural Women Association in this project is. If we are talking about how to make women more visible, also what Dr. Antic said with the systematic approach in policies, etc., it is important to talk about empowerment. And empowerment of women and empowerment of rural societies is actually a process. It starts with the integration. It's actually afterwards upgraded with participation, and at the end with empowerment, when people really have the say in the strategy formulation. And this path from integration to empowerment will be in my presentation highlighted from 4 perspectives. First, how actors can really take this journey. And Rural Women Association and women within this have taken this road. Some of them, we already know, want to be visible. Some of them, they don't. But we need to be aware that people, and especially rural women, want to collaborate, want to network. They want to be involved in different actions. And this kind of cooperation makes rural women more effective and creative in different networks. Innovative and entrepreneurial rural women are also able to participate in national and international leader projects of cooperation. Here we can see that farm women, women in associations, women in public institutions who were supported by LEC lead partners, in the last programming period, they made a visible space for innovation and knowledge sharing in organic agriculture, entrepreneurship in cultural heritage and arts, tourism, labeling, marketing. And here are just a few out of 50 projects which have been implemented in the last period where female became visible. How is this kind of operation possible? Actually, it is important to understand the logic, the methods, and the terminology of the leader. Leader actually works in 3 steps. They are indicated in this triangular shape. The first step is defining the territory. And the map shows that over the 3 incarnations of leader in Slovenia, we more or less have 37 LEC territories. Within these 3 steps is the very important setting up the structures. And local action groups, and some of you who are here today with us, represent this structure. And what is even the 3rd step that's more visible, and on these 2 previous slides I showed, and I shared this with you, is modus operandi. How leader works. Leader works with visible things, with projects. And leader works with not just with steps, it works with its own method. Of course, it works with 7 leader principles. And the previous speeches mostly focused on collaboration, innovation, networking, bottom-up approach, etc. And these are all the issues that are important, that rural women which are taking place in leader are visible throughout the Europe. One of the most important leader principles is create a document. And this document is named Local Development Strategy. And every single local action group makes priorities. And I've checked a couple of LECs in Slovenia. And in the last period, 2014-20, one of the top priorities was addressing vulnerable groups, and within these vulnerable groups were also indicated women. And if you look upon the text I prepared for you, these were the roles or the ideas how we should empower women written, include them in programs and services, activate them, try to push a little bit their entrepreneurial spirit. This was not just one and single priority for women in that programming period. Of course, women are present also in other three priorities which are written here. So this means that if the women were involved in different measures, with this policy, they were also measured. Do they participate? Where they participate? How many of them participate? What did they collect? So this means that step by step, we are gathering data on this, how visible, how involved, how inclusive are also women in this kind of policies. Of course, I checked again with Lex whether theory was reflected in practice. And behind me are some of the topics, some of the sectors, and some of the projects which were actually led by women or women were partners in the projects. And now we see that there are several fields where women, whether they were presenting private entity, public institute, or NGOs, were active in the period 2014-20. So this means from actors we come to actions. Projects are actions. And again, with this logic of three phases, from integration towards participation and empowerment, it is indicated what this really brings to rural areas, not specifically to rural women, but to rural areas as a whole. And again, checking what kind of projects were there implemented and financed by one fund. This is European Agricultural Rural Development Fund, with nearly 70 million euros in the last programming period. You can now see in which fields projects were implemented. Besides tourism, social issues, you see also agriculture, village renewal. Also, a small share goes directly to entrepreneurship. And when I cross-checked the results of FLIARA investigation, I was able to find a very good linkage. When we asked Slovenian women where they feel that they are strong in the field of innovation, they pointed out several fields where they feel strong. These are economic, social, environmental, and you see they feel a little bit more modest in political innovation. Below, it's also written typical action they do and the score, how high they rank this. This tells us a lot, and this is also quite well incorporated in the delivery of the Slovenian version of Leader CLD. But from my perspective, it is also more important to focus on what women were sharing with us, what are the barriers and hurdles for them. This means that the policymakers and the decision makers in the next programming periods, I deliberately put the plural, should especially focus on this to make the working, living environment for rural women more open. I told you that projects are the visible results of Leader. In the last programming period, 1,500 projects were implemented in Slovenia, in different local action groups, of course, differently. And they were co-financed by three funds. 830 projects were financed by European Agriculture and Fund for Rural Development. And you can see who was mostly the lead applicant and who was able to get the majority of funds. Mostly municipalities. And now we come to the third flow of our three-stage development. it is very important to look upon the institutions. The municipalities in Slovenia are important because they have financial stability, they have capital, of course, also human capital, they also have power, and they have also linking social capital. And that's why it's important that different kind of institutions merge and that they work together, and this is the basic of leader approach and the leader visible activities in the rural territories. Of course, I was a little bit suspicious about the data I received from the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Food and the Ministry of Cohesion and Regional Development, and I checked what kind of cooperation was established. And there are lacks where municipalities really have a strong role, but observing these networks, you can see that the lacks might have different practices and that sometimes also associations, public institutions, and also, like in the last case, also entrepreneurs are very strongly involved in this kind of leader initiative. So, a leader also brings specific structures. And one of the specific structure, it's of course local action group. And you can have, of course, many different private persons, but also different institutions who are members of these local action groups. And they consist an assembly. In an assembly, we have a strong representation in Slovenian lacks of women. We have also executive boards, and in executive boards we have lots of women. But when we come to the issue of a structure of presidents, I deliberately put these lists, and at the end, we have at the moment, out of 37 lacks, 25 male and 12 women. This is much better than in the previous programming period, so these things have been changing, and leader, as it is done in Slovenia, for sure, it's empowering women, not just being on a lower level of governance. They are also ranked higher, and this is an important message. When I'm talking about leader, and since I'm a geographer, I like to visualize, I can also share with you how the leader landscape looks like. So here is you and me, as a member of society, as a member of NGO, as a member of certain kind of entrepreneurship, etc. We can come together and create an idea, and within different neighboring municipalities, we can cooperate. And step by step, we can establish LACs. And LACs themselves, they can cooperate. This is the foundation of leader. But in the period, the last two periods, Slovenia managed to develop very important operational interfaces in the implementation of leader. Where are these interfaces and what are interfaces? The two interfaces are written here in reddish color, and I will start with this one. Interfaces are sites or the nodes where people meet face to face or via Zoom or whatever, what kind of platform. They come with different backgrounds, different ideas, different powers, different functions. And of course, since they work together, they meet regularly, they discuss, and because of this discussion, they're working in the project, their mind setup, their action is reshaped because they learn and they work together. And in Slovenia, Slovene, so-called Rural Development Network, is one of this kind of operational interface. Why? Because they know what's happening on the ground with LEX, and they also communicate with the higher level of governance. They are advocating the interests of local action groups, of different stakeholders and actors. The second very important operational interface is indicated above. It's actually coordination committee for CLD in that period, and it works now. Why is this so important? Because Slovenia decided for a multi-funding period. So 3 European funds were joined together. And we know from our neighborhoods and from our families that it's difficult to have 3 bosses at the same table, because everyone, he or she, might have different ideas how to spend the money. So it was very important that these funds were in a way harmonized. And this in practice meant that 3 buckets of money had to be coordinated by 2 ministries, 4 managing authorities on 5 localities. You can just imagine that this was done by women. Yes, just the women managed to do this, and this is a Slovenian innovation. And this is why we sometimes say that the leader delivery in Slovenia is a little bit different, and also from the point of view of women, empowerment in a higher level of governance, very important. So this means that after the institutions, actions and actors, we come to the empowerment of territory, what was just explained briefly in these interfaces. So, not to get the wrong impression that leader is just honey and butter in Slovenia. Oh no, it's not. But on the other side, it is important. It's a seed money. It actually grounds on the ideas of local rural population. It stimulates innovation, and it's quite sustainable. Now we have the 3rd incarnation. But what we see, what is missing in LEADER is this rethinking. I know that people from practice, you are more or less jumping from one project to another. That's why we are lacking the time to really think what we have learned. And I think that in Slovenia, to understand the role of the women in LEADER and in the broader rural communities, we should do much more about rethinking, learning from each other. So, what I wanted to address here is to show you that there is a rural development policy with specific steps, with specific principles, with specific innovation that really makes women visible from the bottom to the top governance. And what is important that with these women and all organizations, we are working together in the continuous participatory research, and we made, I think, a very interesting scientific monograph on the LEADER CLD delivery in Slovenia. It was published in October 22. But I spared the best for the last. When I was talking with different LEX partners and trying to get information from them, where are the women there, they started modestly. Some projects, few projects, women are parts of our activities, are participants. Some also say that women are really capable and they are part of the cooperation, but some LEX indicated women are all around us. They are powerful, they are there, they are empowered. There's still a lot of work to be done in this field, but in Slovenia we can confirm that LEADER for sure strongly supports rural women in their entrepreneurial endeavors. Some of you who are here as ambassadors today also collected and used LEADER money for your inventions. And it also supports the sustainability of rural societies as a whole. With all the faults, it has many, many things to be learned from. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Irma. To conclude our morning session, we will shift our focus toward innovations from an economic perspective. I would like to invite Dr. Stefan Bojnec from the University of Primorska. He will discuss how to support innovations and women entrepreneurship in rural areas.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this session. I am the last one and a lot has been already mentioned, so I will try to be complementary to what was already mentioned. I am coming from University of Primorska, and we have conducted actually 2 projects, or one we are still working on. One was the green, which is rather complementary to your project. We discussed in this project particularly about the women green entrepreneurship. And second, we are working still is Horizon Aggregate, which is actually linked to the higher university education and particularly about the access to resources, because it was mentioned that there was lack of finance sometimes, but I will mention also that actually, and it was mentioned several times today, that many times actually is the problem somewhere else, that there are many funds available, but there is lack either in knowledge, either in access to information, or even sometimes even more, self-confidence to take a risk. So I will not go in detail what I prepared because we are far away with our time, but I will try to somehow summarize this, that when we are talking about the innovation and entrepreneurship, it was also mentioned before about inventions by Irma, about LEADER project, and innovation is something more when we are going to implement certain things. We can talk about women entrepreneurship like social entrepreneurship. There are many case studies in your booklet, but we can talk also about business entrepreneurships, meaning that we are taking risk. It's not social entrepreneurship, but it is something more. And also it is entrepreneurship in rural areas where agriculture is still important, but there are many other activities where is also important rural entrepreneurship. So agriculture is becoming less important even in Slovenia, which is where the share of agriculture in employment is higher than many Western countries. But it is declining, and there are growing other activities which are becoming also very relevant for women entrepreneurship and for structural changes in rural areas. So how to support innovation and women entrepreneurship in rural areas? There might be other problems which haven't been mentioned, by sometimes didn't decide for this, like question of permission, taxation, and particularly taking of management risk and possible failures in this case. And also it was mentioned also already succession. When we talk about Slovenia, of course, similar to other European Union countries, there are available several funds. One are commercial providers like banks, saving banks, leasing companies, and there are non-commercial providers or grants which are actually mostly European fund or even some Slovenian fund. And Slovenian fund is the Slovenian Regional Development Fund and the Slovenian Enterprise Fund. They provide some loans at lower interests or sometimes even without this. Of course, when we talk about the agriculture, here is the one main fund, there is a common agriculture policy. I will mention particularly Pillar 2 because Pillar 1 is mostly direct payments and Pillar 2 is less favored area, which in Slovenia are very important, and then are agri-environment climate measures. And here can be already question of green entrepreneurship and green jobs. I have to say that in Slovenia this share is much higher than in some other countries because In other countries, there is more in favor of more commercial farmings, and it's a lower rate of implementation. And there are opportunities for rural development fund. There can be different innovation and entrepreneurship projects. Of course, when we are talking about the funding, usually it is not only one fund or only one source of funding. Usually it is combination of different kinds of funds. Particularly in Slovenia, very important are also own funds or family funds, but also different European funds which are available here. I will not go in here in detail because most of you know this. In case of labor market, also social fund. And in Slovenia, it is also these two funds which are already mentioned, and several times was mentioned, particularly here are in Common Agriculture Policy and Rural Development is for young farmers, where is question of age, not so much gender, and that's the first question maybe for European Commission to address this issue, because there is equal treatment according to the age, but not according to the gender. And second is about different kind of producer association. It was mentioned before by Irma about a lot of networking, and also in the past in Slovenia rather important were agricultural cooperatives. To go further with this, in Slovenia there are also sub-measures which can be for investment in agriculture holdings and in processing and marketing and development of agriculture products. Here are several sub-measures. If anybody is interested more in detail, here is mentioned, and I can also explain later, but I will go further because I would like to come to some message which is coming out. And it is question of preferential loans, microcredits, microcredits, and guarantee micro and small and medium-sized enterprises, and different other opportunities for funding. These funds are available either at commercial or semi-commercial conditions. And of course, here are some other funds which are in Slovenia and also in other European countries. To come to somehow closer to my conclusions, I mentioned these Horizon aggregate projects, which is somehow related to gender equality in education and research, which can have great influence on future generations of experts which will work in agriculture. Here is the assessment of gender equality plan. So each university or research institution need to have gender equality plan and its implementation, because in other case cannot apply for Horizon project like it is your project. So it is must, not optional, but it should be implemented. And second I mentioned is the green, so you can find also on website on rural women empowerment through green social entrepreneurship. We had here also few case studies which are somehow complementary to your booklet, and we presented there also successful case studies. In the case of Biotechnical Center Naklo, it is higher education and secondary education center. They have programs Junior Achievements, which is clearly devoted to innovation and entrepreneurship, but to agri-food products and food value chains. And Girls Go Circular, meaning that they try to implement, particularly for women, to be green entrepreneur. Then here is one also case study of cooperatives under Ljubliana. They have author offer, which means that that they are delivering food according to the order to home. So it is they are supplying it somehow alternative food supply chain, and they are bringing you to your household according what you want. And also there are some other social enterprises in Slovenia which are rather widespread and run by women. One of them is Brinjevka. They are in organic farming, so that's becoming also very popular in this. Now, in spite of this, that there are several funding opportunities. Of course, if you would like to be engaged in green entrepreneurship or energy entrepreneurship, there is also EcoFund, which is also providing some support for energy investment. And in other activities also there is possible to find some other special funds. Now, what are lessons learned from successful or even less successful cases? What drives successes and what can be failures? Of course, one question is always sometimes problem of information or appropriate information. This can be initial limitation. Then can be another, it's this lack of knowledge and particular experiences. And then next can be lack of resources. Among them, lack of these resources can be also capital. But one very important is also that question of course, there are stereotypes which were mentioned, and there are also some other questions that sometimes women are not willing to take this risk due to family reason or like in other activities, even in politics, because they don't want to be engaged in these activities. But it is clearly visible that there are cases where women are, and I think it is very important now networking and exchange of good practices or even failures and learn on them. Because now, like this project, we did it in V-Green, we also organized big final conference you can find on website. We presented this, and here was mentioned also Association of Women in Slovenia. They came to our final conference and we promoted also this, so we had a huge discussion there. It was actually 3 days conference. And there was also coming out that actually it's not only sometimes knowledge, but also willingness to go in such activity, whether to be employed by state or government job, to have government job which is much more safe, less risky, or go in entrepreneurial activity which is risky due to nature of the business, depending what kind of activities you are engaged. Of course, it is important empowering. And in this empowering, if you look Slovenian FADN data, it is coming out that in case of green entrepreneurship or agro-environmental measures, it is coming out, at least Slovenian FADN data are telling, that women are much more environmental oriented. We published with my colleague from Hungary one paper about this in scientific reports, paper published by Nature, so everybody would like to see can find this paper. So it is important to empower and also to particularly also self-confidence and in entrepreneurial spirits, and that's actually necessary to go in bottom up, to have training, to go with clear messages, to build network and supporting network, information sharing and similar. I think this project like you is excellent opportunity to this because it is cross-border exchanges. It's not only national experiences, it's our international experiences. You can learn good and bad things out of this. And in general, across different regions and economic activities, it can be particularly during the most recent day where we are coming in the era of artificial intelligence and so on. Rural areas can be very similar to urban area because many activities can be now with information communication technologies also developed in rural areas where can be life much less costly, and it can also bring to new activities in rural areas. Of course, when we investigate also in Slovenia, there are advantages for some other activities of proximity, of course, because infrastructure is already available, and special location, what also Irma was presenting, but she was only focusing on a leader project. But this question also infrastructure and market, but not for some services which can be done online because their distance is not important, but where distance and infrastructure is important, then can be disadvantage of certain rural or peripheral areas. And of course, here is not only question of young, but also young women in rural areas, what I mentioned before, because that can be also important from different reasons. I know experiences from some other countries, not only from Slovenia, because I have some experience also from Montenegro, where you have very beautiful mountains in dormitory and so on, and one told me, you cannot live from beautiful nature, you need to have something else, but you either tourists should come there and spend money, or you should go from there and earn money as he is doing, or his family on the Montenegrin coast. So you need to have, in addition to beautiful nature, also sources of incomes. Either they are from government, like subsidies, of course they are not in the European Union. Either you need to earn from some business activities to be able to survive. I am available for further discussion, but it was already somehow pressure on time, so I try to be very brief. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Dear guests and ambassadors of the FLIARA project, we are delighted to have you here today for this roundtable discussion with the FLIARA ambassadors. Today's panel will offer unique insight into opportunities, challenges, and success stories from these inspiring women ambassadors who are not only shaping the future of rural development, but are also highlighting the critical role of women in these processes. This project brings attention to the groundbreaking contributions of female innovators who are addressing the most pressing challenges in agriculture and rural development. Whether it's through sustainable farming practices, volunteering projects, or empowering local communities, these women are leading a way toward a more resilient and inclusive future. We will hear from a photographer revitalizing her village, a Slovene pioneer in microgreen cultivation, the founder of an upcycling project empowering women, a geographer addressing the needs of the local community through volunteering initiatives, the chief agronomist of an ecological farm focused on healthy nutrition, a mayor inspiring women to take active roles in public life, and the owner of an organic farm offering an alternative to conventional agriculture. And now it's my pleasure to introduce these visionary women and to invite them to join me. Please, from Czech Republic, we have Iva Zadražilova and Ljbljana Nagijova. Can you please join me, please? Welcome. From Italy, we have joining Sara Kuja. And from Romania, Patricia Marina and Anca Marcu. And of course, we also have two Slovene ambassadors, Petra Matos and Sasha Kržić. Dear ambassadors, thank you for joining me. I'm Petra Prešeren-Golob and I will be your moderator for today. Maybe if I can ask you kindly to start with your introductions, if you can introduce yourselves and give us an overview of your project, and maybe you can start at the far end, please.
Better? Yeah, perfect. So, my name is Iva Zadražilova. I'm from Czech Republic, and to generally describe my person, I am farmer. I am a person who make certification of organic products. I am mother. And I am also owner of accommodation for guests. So it's it's general description. From my childhood, I really feel that I want to make farming, and because in historic my family, my father and grandfather were farmer, so I started to continue to work with my father on our farm. At first as a conventional, and when I little grow up, I was thinking that we could maybe start it in organic way. So I persuade step by step my father that we can convert to organic farm, and now we are more than about 20 years organic farm in Czech Republic. And according in the same way, also my work is not only farmer, but also almost this 20 years I also work in certification body ABCert for organic farmers, or for all firms which produce organic food. So this is my job on this both side, and about two years ago I also realized my other dream to produce from the farm not only some products to treat animal and so on, but also to provide our space to people. So I decided to rebuild part of the farm to accommodation. So I started from, it was at first about on for 12 people, and now we have capacity about more than 50 people, and it's mainly for families with children, because our farm is situated not in the village, but really in the middle between forests and meadows. So there is a big space for people and for children to be really on the nature. So I'm sorry, I think, is it okay?
Thank you so much, Iveza Dražilova. So your farm is really wide range. You have tourists, you have a farm, everything. Perfect.
Thank you. Okay, I'm Ljbljana Nadjova. I am from Slovakia, but now I'm working in Czech Republic at Farma Bezdinek. We are growing tomatoes. It is a high-tech greenhouse at 14 hectares, so quite big. What we are really proud that we are growing, or we have certificate to grow zero pesticides. It means that we are not using pesticides. We are using IPM, so biological control. And also that we have a demo center, what is a demonstrating greenhouse, where can the people see how it is working, the hydroponic system, irrigation, or how are the plants growing. We are making excursions also for school kids. They are visiting us really a lot. Yeah, it's quite fun. And also we have now a project what's called Half a Plate, where we are focusing to learn people or show people how should be the healthy food or healthy plate. That a half of plate should be vegetables or fresh fruits, and yeah, it's part of these excursions and the demo greenhouse. Yeah, I studied virology at university. It was plant virology, so then I skipped to this project to grow tomatoes at Farma Bezdinek.
Thank you.
Hello, so my name is Sarah Kouja. I'm French, coming from a father from Tunisia and a mother from France, and I moved to Italy. And actually we decided as a family to move 3 years ago in South Italy from Brussels, where I was working as a project manager. And before that, I was working as a project manager for Doctors Without Borders around the world for 15 years. So then, yeah, 3 years ago we decided to change, and I didn't know exactly what I would have done. We just decided to go south because we had a house, really easy. And I said, okay, I will bring my competencies in South Italy and try to help local businesses and agriculture to develop and to get more structured and to bring some of my competencies they are going out to get inside, and it didn't work. So I just created Cucilento, thanks to an EU program which is called EWA, which is Empowering Women in Agri-Food. So I developed an idea. And Cucilento is an upcycling workshop where I collect all the trash from agriculture, so the old olive net used for harvesting, or the boat sail, because we are nearby the sea, or the big bags where they put the grain. At the beginning was to create kits for shopping zero waste in South Italy, because one of the main shocking image you can have when you go in South Italy, that you have wonderful fruits, vegetables along the road, and they grow all organically and really respecting the nature, but then they put everything in plastic bags. And so I said, yeah, I will try to change that, and it doesn't work yet, but I'm confident it will, because it takes time to change, and it's not only as you said, it's not only one person who will change, it's really a policy and politics who should really take positions on that. But the idea of Cucilento was also to be social and to keep the social part of my being, my person. And to find tailor was difficult, because women are really difficult to reach. And it's difficult for them to go out from their family, from the social situation. So the workshop is diffuse. So they come, they take the work, they go home, and they work whenever they want, and then they come back, I pay them. And we work together, and little by little, I managed to have Taylor working with me really constantly, and they come and work with me in the workshop. And for me, it's a big success, because from working alone in my workshop and being alone on the day, they want to come, because they've changed things in their life because they're coming. So that was the impact of Cucilento. I was searching mainly. So that's it, I think.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Patricia Marina Toma, and I'm coming from Romania. I'm a photographer, documentary photographer and filmmaker, but I'm also working with my community in my small village in Stelaj for like 9 years. As just a little background, my family has been always in agriculture, so I have farmer's background, but I am not actually farming. I'm more into arts and education in my village. My parents have started working with community and social projects around year 2000, but then they have stopped for 15 years. They helped building kindergarten and bringing water to my village. But then nothing happened in all this period, and in 2015 I have started working again with the community. Now we have a cultural center where we have restored a house, 120 years old house, which we rent also for tourists in this slow tourism, where people come to our village, they experience this very authentic way of living, they taste the food made by our locals. And then we have built a library from our personal funds, where we invite kids from the village during the summer to participate to educational through art workshops. Unfortunately, we just built this without help from the authorities or cultural institutions. On the side, I have been organizing a local festival for 4 editions, and we have a textile collection, because most of my work is focusing in working with women and with craft women on preserving and learning sewing and creating textiles techniques. We have a very rich textile collection with hundreds of pieces of old textiles. And on the side, I'm working on different projects in Romania. And my main interest is spending time and learning from old people, especially old women. I'm also working on a documentary film on, sorry, I'm so nervous, on the old age and the struggles that comes with illness, solitude, and when I'm not in my village, this is what I focus on. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anca Marcu. I also come from Romania. And I really feel I've done nothing special to deserve to be here. I think during my whole life, I've tried to have a social component to all the work I've done. That's what motivated me to go forward and to work more and to achieve small goals. I was born in Cojocaina, and at the age of 23, I've moved to Spain. Before that, I've been a primary school teacher, and also trying to make it easier for the women in the community by helping children, because one of my main goals is taking off their shoulders some burdens in order for them to have an easier life. Because if they aren't going to have that, then they're never going to get more involved in public life. In Spain, I've also worked as a social educator and very involved in the syndicate, where I saw a really healthy and active role of women in the syndicate, and I really enjoyed being a part of it. I came back to Romania 10 years ago, and I adjusted maybe a little bit harder because of that, because women in Romania are not really empowered, or not as empowered as we would like to. So I started by assuming a public role as a councillor in my hometown, then a deputy mayor, and this year, the 9th of June, I've been elected as mayor. In my activity as a deputy mayor, as I said, I try to empower women by helping them have an easier life. So I focused some of my activity on children. Medical campaigns, social activities for the children, getting involved a lot in the activity of the school. Sports teams coming to our hometown, helping us have activities and get involved in the community for the children. Also, a lot of small activities regarding, I don't know, every event we had in our hometown, like Christmas or Easter, trying to celebrate it always with children. Making sure that we build green spaces and parks for children in order to have a better environment and to connect with each other, and maybe time for the mothers to get together and connect and speak. And I think one of the most important things I've tried to do, and I've really accomplished it now, is that on my councillor list I put on eligible places 2 women. finally, after being the first deputy mayor of my hometown, woman, I'm the first woman mayor in my hometown, and we are like 4 councillors now in the local council, which, believe me, for the rural area in Romania is good. So I think that basically we are as strong as the weaker ones of us. So if we want to raise, if we want to improve, if we want to evolve, we have to help the weaker ones to evolve along with us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Petra from Slovenia, and after 20 years I'm again sitting in this room. So I'm like as nervous as if the professor would call me in front of the but okay, it's good to be together with all these women, and I really hope we will learn from each other. So yeah, I'm geographer, and also I postgraduated in couple and family psychotherapy. Together with my husband, who also did PhD here in sustainable development, we are running Parkistra organization that was founded 11 years ago. So what we do, basically we have a volunteer center that hosts around 15 volunteers from all around the world to help local communities. So basically on everyday basis we go and help, we do 2 to 4 different volunteering actions. Mostly we don't do our own projects, but really we are supporting others. So we are collaborating with around 50 partners from local environment. Maybe it will be easier if for you to understand what we do if I explain a bit, so maybe a few examples. We have very strong collaboration with Social Welfare Center, for instance. So they call us if there are some people in need, especially on the countryside. The need is very big because of the bad demographic and social structure of the population. So basically we go and renovate even house, or you know, for instance, just today we are painting the walls, like one old woman all alone, you know, she lives in very bad conditions, so we go and remove the mold from the ceilings and paint everything. And we also support green jobs on the countryside, which means if there are some active people that wants to start a new project that would benefit the local community, we go there and really fully support them, also with renovation of the infrastructure and whatever they need. Especially a lot we also work with farmers, because in the past it was the community was stronger, so they were helping each other, but now basically these people that stayed on the countryside are older, many times sick, and they are still farmers, and they basically 1-2 people, they need to alone manage everything on the farm. And you can imagine when it's harvest time, and if you're organic farmer, for instance, you need to weed a lot. And so basically a few times per year we also go there and help them so that they wouldn't give up. And in this way also supporting development of other sustainable practices that can be developed on the countryside, like sustainable small-scale tourism. We are also, for instance, with the mountaineering organization, clearing trekking paths, doing cleanup actions. And at the same time, okay, we really work a lot like with our hands on the countryside, but at the same time we also go to the schools to raise awareness, to elderly homes, to socialize with old people. So we really do whatever is needed.
Hello, my name is Sasha Kržić. So I have studied economy here in Ljubljana. And when I was on a maternity leave with my first child, with daughter, I was thinking of that I want to go on my own, that I don't want to work for someone, but that with my partner we want to build our own business. So there were a lot of ideas, but when I came to the idea of microgreens, Ljubljana immediately said, yes, that's it. So then I ordered the seeds and we started to growing microgreens at home. We saw that it was very easy, that microgreens are very healthy, that are very tasty. Then we said, okay, if we will find a place where it will be close to our home, we will go for it and we will start our own business with microgreens. And this was exactly 10 years ago, because tomorrow we will have anniversary of 10 years of our establishment. And we started with growing microgreens, but then we also added edible flowers. So our main customers are restaurants, but now we are also building our website, so e-commerce, where people can buy seeds and everything that they can grow microgreens at their own homes, so that they will start enjoying and growing and eating so tasty small vegetables. Thank you.
Thank you all for these introductions. Although your projects are really different, I think they have one thing in common. You all have the motivation to change the world for the better. In a way, either it's to empower women, or to help your local communities, or to help the ones that are the weakest or the most vulnerable in our society, the elderly and the children. I would like to go more in depth about your motivation to start your project or your innovation. Maybe Sara Kržić, we can start with you. You said that you wanted to start your own business, but what was the underlying motivation? Was it the work-life balance? Was it the need to do something by yourself? What was the motivation for you?
I would say both. Yeah, but so that we both with my partner, Ljubljana, really wanted to build something on our own. And I think also to leave something for our children. And I know that with our products, we are doing really good thing in the world, you know, because those small microgreens and edible flowers, those are really really full of vitamins and minerals. And I know that even if people don't have an option of growing their own vegetables, if they don't have any land or space, I think that with such a little effort, they can grow it in their homes, and I think that they will benefit a lot of.
Thank you. My next question is for Patricia Marina. You already mentioned that your parents were the ones that started to bring improvements to your village. Does your motivation derive from them? How come that you decided to actually continue their work in a way?
I do believe that being a child and being part of a family that is trying to be active and to help other people also contributes to this. But also my motivation is very strong in the point that I was interested in culture and art as a child, but I didn't have the chance to learn more about that in my village. For a better understanding, the number of inhabitants in my village is 450 to 600. So there are 300 of living houses in the village. and being able to bring back my knowledge through the project for those kids who are living in a very small village with very limited possibilities, because they are mostly being taught to find a job or a passion that can create money first, then just to be something that comes out of passion. I think I wanted to show and to give them something else also.
Thank you. I have the same question about motivation for Ljbljana Gijova, please. I think you really focus on healthy nutrition, not using pesticides and everything. So was that the thing that motivated you, how to produce better food for everybody?
Yes. Yes, it was a really big motivation, but at the beginning it was really hard because our team, without experience in this part, so the first year was a really disaster, completely. But it was good for that in this year we built for example, the curves, because we should use pesticides. We used this year to make experience, and also the make the curves have fast disappear. These pesticides, we made really many analyses of fruits, of chemicals, of everything, and we really trying to show people that it is possible. I was 2 weeks ago at the conference, and some people really don't believe that you can grow without pesticides. And they were looking at me that, no, you are. Yeah, so we are trying to show them, and also with this half a plate, explain that it is a really, that we should eat healthy food, not only vegetables, but everything half possible is. So I know that not every time it is possible, but we should try.
So you lead by motivation or by example?
Yeah.
Okay. And I would like to focus now on your innovation journey, and that's the questions for all the ambassadors. Maybe we can start with you, Iva Zadražilova, at your end. You advanced your business. You started with the organic farm, and then you developed into like a tourist place where tourists can come and visit you. How did you advance your business once you had it up and running?
Maybe can you repeat your question to understand well?
So you started with the organic farm,
yes,
and then you advanced your business. You offer tourist accommodation,
yes,
as well. How did you advance your business once you had it up and running?
So
how did you spread, and how did you advance everything?
How I did it, or how
yes,
I want to make it in future?
How you did it, and maybe also the vision for the future.
It was hard way. I think everybody has the similar experiences, and what I have to say that it's important that you believe your idea, and it's this big motivation, and you believe what you want, and then you go step by step, and you didn't see that something is not possible. You every time find a way how you could make it. So this is how we grow up, and it was hand by hand with also not only with my working on the farm, but also with my work in certification body, that I have possibilities to go to a lot of other farms and firms, and I could watch how people are working, and then we also start to use some subsidies as organic farmers, that we could use that we could make some project which are partly financed by European Union and some of Czech legislation, so it helped us very much. This I have to say, it's true that it was for us big support to use these subsidies for farmers to diversify. I work not only to be farmer, but for example, to start with this business with tourism. And also we started, but I don't know how to say it in English, we would some special equipment for wood cutting. And this is also our another job with we are using to cut the wood on the farm. And this was going step by step like this. Yeah.
But no obstacle was too big for you. You managed to find the will to continue, even though some things seem impossible, maybe.
Yes. My father sometimes told me that I'm crazy. Yes, but I have to say that he support me, and also my family support me very much. They believe every time to my crazy ideas, what we can do. And finally, I can to say everything what I want, I realized.
Thank you. Ljbljana, you already mentioned that people do not believe that you can grow vegetables without pesticides. So do you think this is one of the biggest impacts that you have on your environment, that you can change the mindset of people? What do you think is the impact of your project on maybe the community?
Yeah, that has a big impact, that we can show people how it's working, but also that now we have 150 employees year-round, and they are local people. So, and this region, it is with the highest unemployment in Republic. So it is also, I think it's really helps the people, and mostly we have women's with small children. Yeah, it helps. And it was so that at the beginning, the first year it was only 5 hectares, then second year's another 6 hectares, and this year we started the last 3.2 hectares. So at this 14 hectares, we grow now these tomatoes with 150 people year-round and other 100 people in season. So yeah, we have also part-time jobs for students. Yeah. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Sara Kuja, you mentioned in our informal conversation the importance of building networks for your business. On one hand, to reach the women that you want to include in your project. On the other hand, to get the materials that you need. Can you please elaborate further?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when I wanted to start Cucilento, I didn't have a place, and I didn't know how to gather the material. So I went around and talked to people and start to do networking, because that was I was doing before, and I'm quite good at it. So I developed that, and it helped a lot, because I found a place to create a workshop, a big place. They started to collect the material for me. So it's starting. The people are. Told me I'm completely crazy, and absolutely they don't understand what I'm doing, but it's okay. And little by little, they found also women who could work with me and for me. And without network, I wouldn't have been able to create Cucilento. It was impossible. It would have been impossible. And as my colleagues, it's like I'm here to speak out for them and for the one who are not able to speak English or not able to come, and and share their experience. But there are lots of them in South Italy who are trying, and the fact that I'm being crazy is something healthy. Actually, it's really good, and it helps to go out of the social barriers and boundaries that are built. So the networks, and then on the side I've created also an association. So because during the EWA project we were 3 of the same region, and we discovered that we had exactly the same problem. So we didn't have proper information, proper resources. We didn't know how to really go ahead with our project. So we say, let's talk together and let's create a kind of collective. So we started, and in less than a month we were 100. So it was a WhatsApp group, and we said, you know, we are a group of women, we are a kind of entrepreneur or artist or farmer, and we want to gather together and to try to share experience and share our knowledge. And at the end of the first month we were 100, and then it's continuing, it's still growing, and it expanded also in some region in Italy and some places where women are coming for holiday. They meet us and they say, oh yeah, I want to come and be part of the group. And so they give us our experience, and then now it's an association. So we created an association, and we are trying to bring culture where there is no culture. So we will start with a repair cafe, for example, which is a stupid, very little and simple thing to do, but it's something that makes the difference. We will do education of feelings for adults, and we will reopen the municipal library. So we are starting to bring a kind of positive sociality, a positive way of being together, and to try to reconnect from the bottom. And without this network, I think the women who are not able to come and hear, they will be able to come there and to start from there and to start participating to the local life without being afraid of being judged, because that's what's happening in South Italy. I mean, I think it's more or less the same in all the rural area in Europe. When you are out of the city, everyone knows you, and you are afraid of being judged because you are with those crazy women. So now we are a lot. So, and they will be very happy to know that we are many, much more.
So the crazy women are changing the mindset then.
Exactly, exactly.
Patrizia, Marina, you also want to bring culture to your community. You said your village has 400 to 600 inhabitants. You don't have a school. So it's very important, your work. It has a big impact on local community that you bring these workshops, libraries, and so on to the community.
Yes, and the impact, I think, for me, it's the fact that we have started in 2000. I mean, I have started, but when I say we, I'm now working with my mom, which is a craftswoman. She's creating beautiful traditional headpieces, and she's the only one from the area who's creating those. So when in 2015 we have starting the first community event, when we invited all the village to bring their clothes and their textiles inherited from their parents, mothers especially, because they were the ones who were working and sewing clothes. Most of them, they said that they don't have it or they have burned it, and it was a common thing to just throw them away or to burn the old stuff. And now we have a few women who in the last 8 years have been continuously working on creating new traditional clothes that they are selling, and those women are elderly, so they are 75 plus years old. this is in one hand. On the other hand, we have promoted some of them to work with big national projects in concerning around gastronomy. So they have been cooking for people in Bucharest, and they have been really active in this area. And also one of the impacts that I saw was in working with kids, because also one of my concern was that we as a Romanian community in Romania, we were very closed, and even though we live in a multicultural area, we were not really communicated to Roma people and to Hungarian people. During our workshops, Roma kids that are the kids of the shepherd in the village are invited to come to our workshops, where they have the opportunity to work with professors and trainers from big schools around Romania. So after they have come to our workshops during the summer, their professors from the bigger village where they study, they have told me that you can literally see a big difference between those kids who are coming to our workshops and the ones who are not coming, because they are much more open, they read better, they communicate better, and most of them make easier friendships, because we invite people, kids who are whose parents are working in Italy or France, who come home for the holiday, but they also get in contact with kids from the village who don't have maybe the same opportunities that the kids who are living outside Romania have. And this is, I guess, the biggest impact that I feel.
Thank you. Anka, Marku, can you please tell us maybe about the importance of building network and support system from your point of view? You encourage women to take active roles in public life. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yes, I must think about that. I haven't thought about it profoundly. Though I think that maybe my experience in Spain is really relevant, because in Spain I was an immigrant. I think that being there and being empowered by the woman around you, because I was not speaking very well, I didn't have a good vocabulary in Spanish back then. I was an immigrant coming from Romania. Romanian people were seen like so-so, because some of them were involved in infractionality or other issues. And I think that having around me women that empowered me was really important, because for the first time I started thinking about how Roma people in my village felt like. Roma women, because we have a multicultural commune, village. We are Romanian, Hungarians and Roma people. And maybe if you don't feel it on your skin, as it's said, you don't think a lot about the problems that other people face. So back then, I really felt empowered by the people around me and by the syndicate that had a really active role in Spanish society in order to protect, empower women and make them connect. So I think I came back wanting just to change those schemes, those barriers that we had in Romania, that women in Romania faced, because as maybe a lot of you experience in the rural areas, women are not really seen as being suited for the public role, maybe for raising children, cooking, washing and so. I think that one of the things I wanted to change most is that, because my own father, when I won a place for deputy mayor, was not really happy, not because he thought that women are not made for that, because he thought it's going to be very hard for me. The same thing happened to me when I went as a director at the co-op after coming back to Romania. When they thought that, okay, we have to have Anka helping us now, but I think in perspective we're going to need a man here because there are pallets to push and boxes and this and that. When I left in order to be a deputy mayor in my hometown, they said we had to look for someone like Anka. And that was I noticed that change, okay? So let's look for somebody like Anka. It doesn't matter if it's a man or if it's a woman. We have to have someone that does that. So basically, I think that's my motivation right now, is to do really well as mayor. I've done well as deputy mayor, as I won the election. That's a small proof of that. But if I do well as mayor, then the road is going to open for a lot of women around. Maybe not just from my community, but for my county. And maybe they're going to feel more courageous about assuming a public role.
Thank you so much for sharing. Petra Matos, you already told us a little bit about advancing your project, but can you tell us more in depth, how did you advance your project once you had it up and running?
Yeah, basically at the beginning, like our inspiration was a project in India where we were also volunteers. And somehow this was a base knowledge also for our project in Slovenia. But then with time we saw that basically the young people, more or less it was young people to 30 years old, that they have all kinds of issues, especially with mental health issues. So we started, since I'm also a psychotherapist, we also started a program for these people, you know, to empower them. So we hold for them all kinds of workshop, like usually they stay with us, volunteers stay with us from 2 to 4 months. So in this time, like every 2 weeks, we hold for them workshop, for instance, about nonviolent communication, emotions, relationships. Every week we are holding for them sharing circles, morning circles for reflection. So we really work with them because this is the only way that we can keep our not permanent community harmonious. So we saw that this is really something that we need to develop, and luckily I'm really motivated to do that. So yeah, that was really one thing that we had to improve, and we are still learning.
So you saw the need of your environment and you answered it with your project.
Exactly. This is anyway all we are doing all the time. Just responding to the needs, and of course evolving and developing what we do, also the work with volunteers and local community. Like yeah, you need feedbacks and then improving the work.
Thank you. Sara Kržić, you mentioned, Sasha, I'm sorry, Sasha Kržić, you mentioned that you were a pioneer in cultivating microgreens. I imagine you have overcome quite a few challenges to be here where you are today. Maybe can you explain what were the challenges that you and your husband had to overcome along the way?
Yes, so if I look on our company in our 10 years, now I think that we can say before COVID and after COVID. Because before COVID spread, we were 3 in our company and the business started growing. And during the COVID time, you have to know that our business collapsed. We basically ran out of work because our main customers were restaurants and all the restaurants were closed. So we needed to shift our mindset. we needed to change some things in company. So then we started building up our website with our e-store. So as I said, that people could grow microgreens at their home. And what I was also doing then was I was creating online course with how to set up the business with microgreens. So this was mainly idea was to educate other people around the world. So I think that those two things saved us. So and after COVID, so we started really growing as a business. Now we are 5 people from our Borunica, where we are coming from, and let's say that now that we are still growing, because we are still in our so the place where we are growing, we are still renting. And now that we want to build our own a building, now we are facing with challenges, yeah, in our municipality. So yeah, now we have these issues. And
never-ending story then.
Yeah, never-ending. Yeah, I think that all who are starting their own business need to know that there will be a lot of obstacles on the way, but if you have a focus, if you have a vision, idea, like all other colleagues here, I think that everything is possible. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We started on the challenges. Anka, Marku, you mentioned that it's very difficult for women in rural areas to take active political or active roles in public life. What challenges did you have to overcome to become mayor? I guess there's a whole story, but maybe.
Yes, it's kind of difficult sometimes to talk about that. I mean, I do it, I leave it behind and never think about it. But also you have to share it with the rest of the people, yes. I think that the first time I went on a campaign, for example, I had women telling me that it's okay to be a candidate for the council, but not for mayor. I was not going for mayor back then, but I felt so surprised when women said that we're not good for a role like this, for the first role in the community, because basically the mayor is more important than the president of Romania in that village. So they felt that as women we are not appropriate. We are not suited for a public role. And that was the biggest challenge I had to face, because how do you convince women that women are good? I mean, we have to believe in each other. So that's where I saw that they do not believe in themselves. And I always stopped and talked about it, like asking them if in their families, they're not the one like managing the family, managing the money, doing the shopping, making sure that they can invest a little bit of the money of the savings, taking care of the children, the savings, the school, the health, and everything else. And they did. But they didn't think, though, that we would be good on managing the village, the commune. So I think that I realized that as a deputy mayor, I have to show them that it's not the case, that we are good for everything we do, and we are as good, at least as good as men, at being a public figure. Because women, I think that we are more, we're taking more of the health issues, educational, cultural, and all the things, all the details that maybe men do not think about that as much. family is the most important thing for us, mostly, and the well-being of the family has to do with all these things. So I think my challenge was that. Now I remember my last campaign. I was really helped by someone, never said that, but by a public figure of a woman mayor in another village. I remember women or men saying, okay, now we're going to vote for women and we're going to be ran by them. And the woman beside him said, yes, but do you remember there's a woman in a certain village next to us and she has been doing very well. She's been there for like 20-something years as a mayor. So that's what my challenge for the future will be, just being a good mayor and trying to open the road for the women. Thanks.
Thank you. Sara Kujic, I just have one more question about the challenges. You came from Brussels to Italy. You came into a new environment with the people you didn't know, and you started, as you said, this crazy project. This must have been a challenge in itself, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think from one side, it's an advantage because I'm the foreigner, and I'm the good foreigner. Okay, so I worked with migrants. And my father was the bad foreigner, so he's Arab. And so being French, being well-educated, coming with different ideas was in some way also fascinated. So people were fascinated about my past, but at a certain point when they understood I wouldn't leave, I wouldn't go for homeworking, like, you know, continuing to work with projects in Brussels and being just there just for the good time, but working there and maybe sometimes having to go and work in very bad condition, okay, because the work when you have to go as a daily worker in South Italy, it's not good in agriculture, whether you are Italian, Romanian, African or French. It's the same. So they understood that I was being serious. And that was an advantage, okay? But I'm not from there, so I have no property, I have no personal money to really invest, and when I started Cucilento and it started to work, so I had to really physically start to make things and work, I don't have the time, and still don't have, to do the helicopter view. So to take time to search for proper EU funding or proper programs that could fit my need and maybe other needs, and really try to think about that project part, that it's really needed if you want a company to be during in the time. So the challenges are those ones. And in the local community, of course, they were welcoming at the beginning, but when they see you staying, it's just, they are nicely waterproof. So they just drain on them and you don't penetrate. It will take time. I think it's coming from the history and from the social background and from lots of, I mean, their behavior, you can understand it, and it's normal. And so that's one also of the challenge. They say, okay, I still have to search for money, for support, but now we are 4 of us, with 3 tailor, me, and my husband, who is supporting me with my crazy ideas, and he has also crazy ideas himself. So. And we are showing it's possible, but it's not as nice as they design it. You know, they think now people, mostly after COVID, they think about and they talk about the happy, slowing down life in the countryside somewhere in South Europe, and it's not. I mean, it's not like this. And for the women I met, it's not this way. I mean, most of them, and in the association there are lots of them, even younger, really young, like 26, under 30, and it's not as happy life as it is pictured in the. So it's really important to be coherent. So I wanted to put coherence in my life. Like I like to eat organic. I like to have my kid grown in the nature. But then in Brussels, it's not possible. You can't do that in the city. I mean, it's not coherent 100%. So now I decided to move back to the nature and to start to be coherent every day, and also as being a network person, to bring this coherence in the people's life and the women life around me. And it's more little by little is working, but it's a big challenge because you're dealing with the change management, which takes time. I mean, physically, and it's physiological. It's biological. You need to let the time to your body, to your mindset, to really change, and it takes time.
Thank you so much. Having listened to your journeys, the barriers you have overcome, the resourcefulness and innovation that you have demonstrated, I'm sure that you have gained some valuable experience. And as we move towards the last part of our conversation, I would like to ask you to give some advice to women who live in the rural areas who would like to start their own project or innovation. And coming from you, what would you advise them to do? Maybe Iva Zadražilova, we can start with you, please.
So, I think the most important is belief that everything what you want is possible. As I told before, there is nothing what can stop you if you have the vision and idea what you want to do. There is really ways how you can do this. I will only tell short things from my life, from farming, because I have some funny situation. Because I'm as a woman, I normally work on the farm. I do all of the work on the farm. I also drive with tractor, with combine, and all of these machines, and it's normal man's work. And I had some funny situation when, for example, the year before, when we go to buy the new combine and speak with the man who sells this machine, and who will drive this? And I tell, me. And is this a typical situation that it's not normal that woman is doing this, but it's possible. You can do this. You are able also to manage the things which are connected to repairing these things and so on. It's sometimes harder for me. It's true. It's not easy for me. And now my oldest son, little bit, started to support me in this, and every time he told me, Mom, you are not as good as me. Yes, it's normal. But as also this you told from that it's really necessary that I don't want to be like feminist or something like this, but if you believe to yourself, you can do everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the same as told Iva, but also to be open-minded and never give up. This is also important for me, because sometimes we are trying something and this is disaster, but we can learn something from this disaster, have to do it better and have to go further.
Thank you.
I would have some advice. The first one is that I have 2 boy kids, and I think I've always been feminist, and I didn't know about that. And being there in a very masculine land, it just came out. And so I'm proudly feminist, and my family became proudly feminist, came out. We just did a big family coming out. And for me, it's really important to show them that believing in your dream, it's possible. It's insane. It's really sane. And to pursue a coherence, it's important to pursue value. So to work, to take the time of kids and of young time of nourishing what's your value, what's your mission, what you really want to realize with your heart. Because then when you talk to me and we prepared, then I thought about it, and I said, yeah, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a designer of clothes. And that's coming back, and I'm 44. So it took time, but it's possible if you nourish the same basis when you're young, and you help women to bring that to your kids, to their kids.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can relate to anything that has been said before. But more than that, I would encourage collaboration, because to me the support of my community was key. Even though now thinking back of it, I was 16, 17 when I went to those women and I said, we want to do this. And I imagine, I'm 27 now, and I imagine kids coming back to me now and telling me this, and I imagine myself like I don't know where I had that crazy thought and inspiration and energy to do this, but I advise other young women to just believe on the instinct and use that energy, because now maybe if I would have just started now after university, maybe I wouldn't have the same energy that I had back then. And one of the main struggles in my area, I think, is the lack of collaboration, because I see quite a lot of young women who are coming with this fresh artistic approach and who want to do things in their community, but they or we do not really talk to each other and share the experiences. And yeah, collaboration, inspiration, and just to go outside to bring ideas, to bring inspiration, and to valorify that in your own projects.
I'd like to say that we are stronger together. That's what we have to remember first. Then that if you need help, you have to give help, and life has a way of giving it back. And that sometimes in this, you don't have a road ahead you. You don't know where you're going to go, but it's really important to leave a road behind you. So you have to be strong, you have to be courageous, and just go further. And if there's no road, then you open it. Thanks.
Yeah, now it's hard to say something new. You told everything. But yeah, what I would maybe add is that I think these grassroots approaches are extremely important, that we are maybe showing some new ways. And you know, many times it's like that at the beginning it's alternative and people think we are crazy, it's not possible. But then we show them that it is possible, and with time it becomes a mainstream. So we need to be aware of the important role that we have in our lives, you know, that we are strong women, that we are courageous, that we are not giving up. And just show with our own example, you know, that it's possible. And yeah, I really believe that we need to be the change we want to see in the world. And yeah, we are showing that we are doing what we believe in. So that's the most important.
Thank you.
I would say that if you have an idea, you have to make a first move. So this is crucial. And the second thing is persistence. This is so important on the way that you want to build something.
Thank you. Thank you for this inspiring and motivational words. And now it's time for our audience. We have some time for questions from the audience. I would just like to ask you if you can introduce yourselves and tell us to which ambassador your question is directed to. Do we have some questions?
Should I say it in English? Probably. Okay. I have a question for Anka. I'm Ana Maria from Slovenia. So I was wondering, when you said so you empowered local women also by providing by relieving them of
certain burdens.
Certain burdens, just like also like through taking care for children activities. Can you explain a bit more about that? So
Yes.
how to empower local women? Yeah.
As I walked through the people in my community, a lot of the complaints of women were that the housework, the taking care of children, took all their time. So I thought that maybe having a bit more time for themselves would help them think in other activities, for example. And that's why, and knowing also that children are the most important in a mother's life. I mean, they are concentrating mainly on their children. So if you make it easier, if children are doing well, because we knew that they lack after-school activities, for example. The time that the children are doing some activities, it's first really good for the mother in order to know that they are safe, they're learning something new. They don't have to grab a car and take them to other village in order to have sports activities or being supported on doing their homeworks. We had to have them in the village for them. So life would be easier for the mother. Also, I was surprised by the fact that in my community, in our villages, we don't have any parks. You don't know where to go spend time with your children. Children should not maybe spend as much time on their phones, on electronics and gadgets and so. But if you don't have an alternative, a good alternative for them, then they're gonna do it anyways. So the first thing I did was building two parks. To have children being involved in activities. Then health is a concern for the mother. We are not providing really good health services in our communities. It is not enough to have a basic family doctor, as we call it in Romania, because you have to do some screenings maybe. Maybe you need some blood samples to be taken to be analyzed, or just a specialist in pediatrics. So I've done some campaigns, some medical campaigns. The first one of them was pediatrical, to make sure that whatever thoughts, I'm really interacting a lot with them, and I think that sometimes they become like a little bit obsessed with that. I mean, any problem, any small problem that the child has, they imagine that it's a medical problem or so. And maybe it's just we just need a specialist to take a look at him and make sure there's nothing wrong. Even if nothing's wrong with the child. I mean, you don't, maybe we had 2 or 3 cases in these campaigns where children had to be taken further to specialists. But I think that thought that maybe my child has something was really present at mothers. If you don't go on a regular basis to the doctor, maybe, and also explain the importance of vaccines, help them understand why they need to go and do checks for the children and everything. So education, medicine and activities are really important in, I think, as a primary school teacher, I think that are really important for children. And that's what I try to do. And also events. It had a great impact to just put a Christmas tree in the middle of the town and celebrate it with the children and have some fruits and sweets and whatever and share it with them and just sing a carol. It was such a big event with such little amount of money. I hope I've responded. Okay, thanks.
Sarah, but just shortly, please, if you can add something, but just really shortly.
I just wanted to say to Anka, I think this is very powerful because once you take care of their children, they have to take care of them. Yeah. And it's something that sometimes it's destabilized, but it's a real big power.